Tonight we are talking about the pause, the space in between reaction and response, why it's uncomfortable, what to do in it, and all of the things in between. So the pause really is that space when you want to react, but you stop and you allow yourself to feel all of the things without reacting on it. That could be really tough because we always want to do something. Hello, mama. I'm going to share it out. I have to say that little intro because on the YouTube replays, we noticed that when you replay it on YouTube, you don't know what the topic is until like 20 minutes in. So I try to just say that as soon as I hop on here. Okay. How are you, mama? Nick, what is up? How are you? Oh, let me see. I think that I can only do it while we're here. Let me see. Oh, I love that. Okay, let's see. Okay, pin comments. Okay, so you started homeschooling? That's dope. How's that going? Mom, you can try to pin. If not, you can go out and restart and then come back in. But you should have those perks now. You should be able to do that. Derek, welcome in. Yay, worked. Whoop, whoop. I think I can only do that while I'm live. Edit the moderator stuff. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, let me put this up. I'll get this off the screen. And okay. Tonight, you guys, we're talking about the pause, the space in between reacting and responding. And honestly, not even the space in between just responding, just the space in between. Because sometimes we're still going to react, and that's the reality. I don't know if this will all fit. Okay, it did. Susie! 10 acres in the woods. Let's go. We're moving to our property 2 months. So I'm super excited. That's super dope. I would love to hear how that's going for you. Happy Monday. We'll get started in just a few, you guys. It's so much work, but so rewarding, right, Nick? Oops. Nope. Yeah, baby steps. It's a lot of work. It's a lot all at once. I'm so excited. I look like Rudolph right now because I have a cold, and so I've been like wiping my nose, and so my nose is so red. 5 jobs. That's because you are. You are. I didn't notice how red it was until I got on live. It's funny. Okay. So let me ask you guys, are first of all, are you pausing? Like, did you even know that there was the option to pause before we react, before we make a decision? When somebody asks you, hey, can you do this and this? Do you take time to think about it, to respond, even if you already know 100% the answer? Or do you feel like you have to answer right away? Oh, nice. Congratulations. That's awesome. Doing all the things. That's because, like you said, the 5 jobs. Yeah. You're a plumber, electrician, carpenter, forager. Sometimes I still answer right away. I'm learning. Yeah, me too. Awesome. Are you doing chickens or quails? We'll really dive in a few minutes. I know, darn it. Listening to hear, not to respond immediately. That's huge. That's active listening. That's a really, really tough one. Pokey, welcome in. We're talking about the pause. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. And we're just waiting for a few more minutes. Let people come in, and then we'll dive into it. So my biggest, I think the toughest is sitting in the uncomfortable for me. Like when I want to respond, when I want to scream, when I want to shit somebody. Oh, yeah, that's smart. Otherwise, too much too fast, it can get overwhelming. Tara's in the house. Welcome in. Driver 1965. Welcome in. Right. And try not to fix. Oh, that's so tough. Allowing other people to not be okay and not doing something about it, like just allowing them to not be okay, is like makes my skin want to crawl. Swanky! Right, Nick? Hi, lovely. You're good. Thank you, Tara. Hello, hello. How are you? We're talking about what happens in pause. Are we even pausing yet? Right, Nick? But it's so hard. Don't you just want to go to like Tractor Supply and get the little chickies? Excuse the cough. I'm doing my best, you guys. I do have a cold, so this is why I look like Rudolph, and you'll probably hear me coughing. I'll do my best. I have my little cough rag and my tea. Touche, Nick. You are right. And it's uncomfortable to be in that pause, and that's a great analogy or great example. Even things like that where we want to do something, right? We want to do. And so I did this when I started a business before the one I'm doing now, is that I wanted to do all the things and get, like, I wanted to take, so I was a photographer, so I wanted to just take the photos instead of building the back end. And so my business flopped, right? Because I didn't practice that pause. I didn't allow myself and my life and my systems to recalibrate. And so this can show up in so many areas of our life. Just want to run for sure. There's an ad on my screen that says increase 500 views by paying $53. And for me, I come from a generation that if you're not doing something, that means that you're lazy, you're not doing anything. My unproductive time is also productive if I love myself. Exactly. And I think for so many generations, still it's a struggle. Me raising my kids, that productivity equals worth, right? So that's super tough that to get out of that. Yeah, exactly. Mom. Swanky, we do have the Sacred Middle after this, where it's just a small women's group coaching, and it's on Zoom, and we dive deeper into the conversations and talk about how it affects our life and what to do about that. Welcome in, everybody. Also, a lot of people can feel like the pause is avoidance. Madeline is messaging me. One second. I don't even remember what I was saying. Hold on, guys. Feeling guilty. Okay, yeah, hold on one second. I need to get my brain is not functioning properly. Okay, one thing at a time. There we go. Okay. Pause can look like avoidance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And sometimes it can be avoidance, but not all the time. It's being able to discern when we are avoiding or we're practicing the pause, when we're just not abandoning ourselves, right? Thank you. My partner always is trying to remind me to enjoy the process, right? And it's really tough when we were programmed that the process wasn't important, but the product was important, right? And so we're seeing that being played out in everything. Our goals and things, if we don't hit the goals, then it can feel like not enough. We can feel like not enough, right? Or the pause is the process, but we want to repair, we want to fix it, we want to get out of the situation, we want to shut it down, right? So that we don't feel what we're feeling. And that's the same in all of these things that we're talking about, is what's coming up in our bodies. And that's what we're really going to talk about tonight, what that looks like, because I don't think oftentimes we slow down enough to even know that something is happening in our bodies. we're mostly just using our brain, our logic portion. When oftentimes a lot of what's going on is in our bodies. Yep. I'm catching up, guys. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. If you have questions about the pause, let me know. So the pause is actually an opportunity for our nervous system to interrupt our autopilot. That recalibration. Oftentimes also, it is the space that has the most profound impact on our growth or not. Because actually, contrary to what we were taught, the process is such a huge part, right? So not the product, because when we think about, let's just say, if I hurt somebody's feelings and I go straight to, I'm sorry, let's try to fix it, I want you to feel better, I'm not honoring how that person actually feels and giving them space to feel. I'm trying to make their feelings go away so that I can feel better, because it's uncomfortable if they're not okay. And so that's what we're trying to do in that space. We're actually trying to regulate our nervous system. So even when we're reacting, it is a way that it is a tool we've used in the past to try to regulate. And now we're working to use different tools to actually regulate, versus just an attempt to regulate. Stillness in trauma healing is where the nervous system stops performing and starts revealing, in my view. I think that's yeah. Because also back to that is that if we're going so fast, you can't, this is where like the somatics comes in, right? And this is where slowing down to, okay, when I get frustrated, when I get hurt, my chest beats really fast, my palms get sweaty, I can feel it in my gut, in my throat, I want to cry. Those are all of those things that are happening to our body that we bypass by reacting. So what's your secret in intentionally slowing down to recalibrate rather than, oh no, oh my goodness, hold on, I'm trying to read the rest. Rather than, show me the enabled bad coping mechanisms. So this is a beautiful question. Thank you for asking, Nick. What I would say is it's a muscle, right? So first we have to recognize that I'm just going to use the word triggered. Okay. So that could be good. It can be, a trigger can stimulate joy or pain or anger or happiness. So a trigger isn't just something that activates something that's negative. Okay. So, it's a process. And this is what I walk my clients through, that it's a process. You don't just change it. First, it's recognizing that something is happening. Okay. That there's a trigger, and this isn't going to happen right away. Right. But it's beginning to recognize. So what's going to happen is you're going to get triggered and you're going to start recognizing, oh shit, I got triggered. Okay. Oh shit, I got mad. If you don't want to use the word triggered, I'm just using the word trigger because it's a big overall kind of blanket for a shift in emotion. Okay. And then you will recognize, I got triggered. And that's going to happen for a while. Oh, I got triggered. Then you're going to move to recognizing before you get triggered. Now that takes time. Okay. I'm just giving you this is a long process shortened. Okay. Just like a muscle, it's building each portion. Then you're going to go into, oh, I'm feel like I'm going to get triggered. And then it's going to be like, I'm recognizing something is happening to my body. I want to do, like, I want to yell, I want to run, I want to cry, recognizing that. Then it's going to be, where do I feel that in my body? What's actually happening? Okay. My hands are shaky. It's weight on my shoulders. And that already is like 5 steps into the process. The biggest thing is recognizing that you are triggered. Okay? So you don't go straight to the pause because we were not taught how to pause. So you can't just jump straight to the pause. So first you have to even recognize that there is a trigger before you can get to the pause. Does that make sense, guys? Can I get a 1 in the chat? Oh, I'm 35 messages behind. It's cool. In that space, it's important for me to drop shoulders, feel something, look at something. Yeah. Trigger is like an awareness. Yes. Well, I feel like the trigger happens so fast that it's it happens in milliseconds, right? And then you become aware. So I feel like the trigger happens and then you become aware that you're triggered. And that's really how it starts. Awesome. I see you guys. Thank you. We're on the same page. And so that is the big thing. Thank you. That is the biggest piece of advice I have, is just beginning to recognize that there's a shift when something happens. When somebody says something, and you lash out, or something happens and you say something that you wish you wouldn't have, it's okay, because you are beginning to become aware that you are reacting to something, right? So that is a beautiful first part of the process. And then we can move forward. Once you recognize, oh, I'm triggered, then you get to work backwards. Does that make sense, Nick? So when you get to that point, then, like Frosty was saying, in that moment, in the pause, right? Once you have spent time, and this can take a while, it can feel frustrating because this process can take a while. It could take months, it could take years. It took me a really long time, and I still work on this, okay? Why? Because our nervous system is already hardwired, and it automatically has pathways that it reacts, right? And we have been doing that. I've been doing that for 43 years. So even though I've been on this healing journey for quite a few years, it's not 43 years. And so if you think of it as like a track, right? So you've been doing the same thing. That track is deep, and it becomes like a default per se, because it's really in your cells. Okay. The reason is that your body goes back to those moments and what worked in that moment, and then what has worked in moments similarly like that over and over. Takes me a while to figure out I shouldn't say said things or do things. Awareness. And it's tough, right? Like, because when we are on this and we're learning, it's a new language, right? So we're going to get it wrong per se before we get it right. And that awareness is just, oh, did that feel good? Did that not feel good? Right? And that's, even then, there's pauses. I said something. This doesn't feel good. That is an opportunity for a pause. Because in that moment, we're like, oh, this doesn't feel good. I said something I wish I wouldn't have. Most times we go to our default. We either try to fix it, or we just ignore it and shut it down and never come back to it, right? And so that is an opportunity to like, man, why do I feel this way? Why did I react that way? What's happening to my body? If I go back to that moment they said that, did I feel it in my chest? There's a lot there. The trigger is question and overthink rather than action, which creates guilt. So I hear you, right? And this is where we can get stuck in that loop in the pause, because the pause is not a place to stay. It's a place to visit, right? Some things happen here when we are trying to avoid disappointment, when we're trying to avoid disconnect, right? So oftentimes, I was the same way, Nick, and I still often am. Depends on who the situation entails. But if I say something that hurt my husband, I want to fix it, right? And so I think about and I go over, like, I wish I would have said this. Maybe I could have said this. Let me know if this is not what you're saying, if it's before this. Because I want to make sure that I'm understanding you right, Nick. But sitting in the discomfort that I made him sad. This is the avoiding part, right? We actually don't need to fix anything yet. And this is where I challenge everybody to slow down. And we are going to talk about accountability versus responsibility next week. So this leads into that, Nick, is what is accountability? And I'll give a just little preview because this goes into that, is accountability is what you are responsible for your actions and your words and the way that you show up, but you are not responsible for the other person and how they process. Okay? So yes, accountability is how you showed up and you can take action. Like you can own that, right? Accountability is, man, I fucked up. I said this and I could see how that would feel really shitty. Not going into trying to fix it. Okay? Because if we put ourselves in that shoe, the opposite shoes, we don't want somebody to do that to us. It's actually super frustrating. We're like, we just want you to listen the impact that you had on me. That's all I fucking want. You can't fix it. Nothing you say is going to be able to fix it in this moment. But can you just hold space for how I feel? And so the guilt, avoiding taking action. So the way I think about this is if I do need to be accountable for something, if I did something and I want to go to that person because I care about them and I want to take accountability for my actions and the way that I show up and the way that it does impact other people, right? That is vulnerable. When we aren't able to be vulnerable or we don't feel like we can be vulnerable and the risk to be vulnerable is too high, we don't ever get to be vulnerable. That creates part of the guilt as well. Does that make sense, Nick? Does that resonate? Because fixing stuff that doesn't need to be fixing or waiting for the shoe to fall. Yes. Right? And that's that we have been programmed to scan. Always fixing, always scanning, especially with our partners, right? Because why? Why do we do that? Why do we scan and are so hyper aware and always wanting to fix it with our partners? Hypervigilance. Do you know where that comes from and why? And it's this most simplest beautiful thing. Why do you do that? I know. I do that. Um, because we don't want to disconnect. That's why. Because we don't want to disconnect. And in the past, our childhood, where we have spoken, I know, when we have said or done something, we were like our caretaker, our parent, usually there was, either a silent treatment or a punishment when we said how we felt, or it didn't matter at all how we felt because we were children, not because our parents didn't love us. That's just the way things were. Right. And that is how we stayed connected. That is how we got our needs met, was people pleasing on that side, right? The empathy, the hyper awareness, the pursuing, the clinging is how we stayed connected and how we got our needs met to feel like we matter. And on the opposite side, they avoid, right? They push away. And that's how they stayed safe and got their needs met. It's all a way to stay, it's all a way for us to attempt to stay safe. And we do that because that was all we knew, right? That's all we experienced. Our parents didn't know how to, most of our parents didn't know how to be aware of their emotions and to practice the pause and to slow down. And they needed us to be okay so that they could be okay because they already had their own shit, just like we do, right? We're like, I still struggle this with mine, okay? Is that I need you to be okay because I got too much shit going on and I can't handle my own shit and your shit. That's a us issue, not a them issue, right? But oftentimes we put it on them as a them issue. I need you to do this. If you just follow the rules, if you just don't be loud, if you just do this, this, and this, then I'll be okay. Then you'll be okay so I can be okay. And if we look at the pause in those moments, right? It's a hard pill to swallow. It's like, actually, dude, you're not doing anything wrong. Mommy put too much on her plate, and I think I need to go take 5 minutes because I'm taking it out on you, and that's not cool. Oftentimes, the pause, though, we confuse the pause with doing something, and we are a doing people. Why? Because we want to avoid what we're going to feel in the pause. One, for some people, it might not be extremely safe to feel your body and to feel what is happening. And so this is why there is no one size fits all, right? Tara and Frosty, they help us remember this all the time, is that we have different nervous systems. And this is why I say you have to figure out what the fuck works for you and your journey, your healing, your pace. And the pause can look different for everybody, right? The pause for somebody can be just sitting there, right? Breathing. The pause can be somebody walking outside, putting their feet on the ground. The pause could be journaling. The pause can be going into my van and screaming. The pause is Yeah, sometimes just shutting up, right? Because we always want to say something. We want to say something. And so oftentimes just beginning the pause is really, it's not about being regulated. It's not about getting it right. It's not about saying the right thing. It's not about reconnecting. It's not about repairing. It is about just not saying something. And sometimes for avoidance, that is very natural. You can withdraw and not say something. For some people just leave the situation. They don't say anything, but they're also not getting curious in the pause. It's just shut down, right? So the biggest thing in the pause is not abandoning yourself. What I mean by that is, what the fuck is happening for you? If you're mad, honor that you're mad. In this moment, I want to curse at you and I want to throat punch you. You don't have to say that to them, because that's probably not doing something different than we might have been doing. Now, I will say that there are steps, right? If you lash out and you are a person that's physical, maybe saying something and not being physical is a step, and that's real shit. Okay, and that is a huge step. There are a lot of people who get physical, and if you get physical, just saying something and not getting physical is a huge step. How do you recognize when you need a pause? What parameters do you give to come back? I recognize that I need a pause about 75 million times a day. When something changes in my body, right? My chest starts tightening. I can feel it in my gut. Anytime I get triggered. Okay, so that's how I recognize when I am triggered. I like to use that word just because it resonates with me, but you can find something else if it doesn't resonate with you. It's just when you feel that shift in your body. That is a process of recognizing when that is, especially for a large portion of men, and some women who are very disconnected from their body, right? So that will take longer. Now, and what parameters do you give to come back? To come back to the person? Is that what you're asking, Nick? When to come back to the person? I started as I was taking out all my ChatGPT, so I've been trying to recognize the pause. Yeah, we can, because it's easy. They're just like, I see you're really mad. That makes so much sense. And you're like, ah. So excuse me, guys. Yourself, others. Okay, so coming back to myself looks like, again, really just one, honoring how you feel in that moment without shoulds, okay, without judgment. That's going to be really hard because we are judgy McJudgers. We judge ourselves, we judge others, we judge, we're human, right? So recognizing that, how we're feeling. Okay, so if my husband says something, I'll give a really good example. So last night, we were watching a movie and I got triggered. It brought up a lot for me. And at first, I kind of just turned it off. I was like, this is ridiculous. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to be practicing the pause, because Amber, you can't just preach it. You got to walk it, right? We're not about that life here. You got to be about it, right? Like Hunter says. Practice the pause. So I stopped. And I was like, you know what? I'm really sad. You know what? My body's shaking. And then I just started to get curious. Well, why do I feel that way? Oh, well, that makes sense that my body is shaking because it brings up this. Well, is that what it really brings up, or does it bring up something different? Right? So I allowed myself to be in that moment. I could have just pushed it off and shoved it down, but I'm done abandoning myself. Now, this is where people feel like they're going to get stuck in spiral. And I get that, right? We're not going to stay there. But as we get curious, guess what happens? Your chest loosens up. Your shoulders start to loosen, right? Now, honoring it first is shitty because you're probably going to cry. You're going to get mad, right? And we don't want to feel these things, but that's the part of coming to yourself. Most of us have never even done that, even on a healing journey, because so many people are in the doing. They want to bypass the uncomfortable. They want to bypass the pause. Why? Because nobody wants to sit in the uncomfortable. We're tired of feeling like shit as it is. We don't want to feel like shit more. Guess what? It's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm not here to sugarcoat that shit. It's not for the weak. Okay? And it's not about making those things go away. That's not what healing journey is about. That's not what healing is. It is honoring. It is feeling. And that is what we don't do. So that's the biggest thing of coming back, like returning to yourself, not abandoning yourself, is what the fuck am I actually feeling? Where do I feel that in my body? If it's not safe to feel it in your body, a lot of people with SA and different traumas, it might not be safe to go into body, okay? But it's just saying, I feel like something is happening to me right now. Retraining, right. Retraining our bodies from fight or flight is huge. Yeah, and that's a lifelong thing. And I don't believe that we're ever not going to get triggered. I think that those can lessen the impact when we do get triggered, depending on the situation, depending on how deep that wound was, depending on how how severe the betrayal was, depending on how close you were to that person. There's a lot of factors, right? So it's not a one size fits all. Now, coming back to the other person after something, after the pause, after you've honored so the pause is first recognizing something's even happening. And then it's, what am I feeling? Then it's, what do I want out of this? Okay, so there's a lot into this. This is why I'm saying the pause isn't just simple. This stuff isn't just, I'm just going to put this into practice tomorrow, right? It's a process. It's okay. Why maybe did I react that way? What did it bring up? And this is what I help people do, because sometimes it's hard for people to slow down. So I slow you down. We take it step by step, depending on your nervous system and what feels safe for you. Right? Because oftentimes our bodies go back to a moment in childhood. For some people, it's safe to go there. Some people, it's not. Just on auto. Yep. It just happens. I think our busy culture treats fight or our busy culture praises fight or flight mode. And this is something else I'm recognizing. Teaches. Yes, it does. And actually you get gold stars if you work off fight or flight, right? No stopping, just keep going, be hyper vigilant, attention to details. There's so much that goes into that, right? Yes, 100%, which makes it so much harder to slow down, because especially if we are working on worth, then that is how our worth we've been validated. Wow, you just went through something traumatic and you didn't even stop working. You just handled it like a boss. That's not healthy, but that's how we're praised. Yep, top performer. Yeah, and it's perfectionists, right? We're also perfectionists. Like if you get it wrong, no, it's not enough. Go back and do it. There is no second place. Does anybody have any questions? Welcome in, everybody. Can we get a shout out for Frosty? She is modding for the first time tonight, and we appreciate you. You're killing it. You're doing amazing. We do have a few seats left for the sacred middle, and we are going to talk about this more in the sacred middle. You bet. Thanks for being here, dude. It's nice to see you. I'm not live as much, so I haven't been seeing as many people because I'm only down to just Mondays. And I appreciate the questions. I actually really do in the engagement, you guys. So I appreciate you guys. So what else? Okay, so this is a good one. Is why the pause can feel is that your body is used to movement equaling safety. And stillness can feel like vulnerability. I'm going to say that again. Your body is used to movement equals safety for some people. Right? Depending on how you react, like what your go-to is. Ambitious, welcome in. I think we were... Wait, what? Reading the same book or writing? I wasn't writing. But yes, stillness can feel like vulnerability. And yeah, I love that you brought that up, Frosty, is that in the pause, you can feel all kinds of emotions. This is really huge. And we are programmed black or white. I either have to feel this way or feel this way, right? And so much of what we're learning here in that sacred middle is that more than one thing can be true at the same time. And our bodies are like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know how to hold being pissed off and sad at the same time. I don't know how to hold that. And that's so valid, right? Because we've never been taught how to hold that. And how do we hold that? You just honor it. Yeah, I'm mad and I'm sad. I'm mad and I'm sad. I want to run and hug that person. I also want to throat punch them. Both things can be true at the same time. And that is a huge thing in that pause, is there's going to be a lot of things that are true at the same time. Your feelings matter and are true. The other person's feelings matter and are true. But oftentimes we're both people are wanting to be seen and heard at the same time. And that causes a disconnect. It's like butting heads. My vulnerability can be a deflection of just sitting with it. Could you say that a different way? My vulnerability can be a deflection. Oh, like avoiding, right? Like you said, sitting in the pause as a way to avoid because you don't want to be vulnerable, correct? Because vulnerability is too risky. Is that what you were saying, Nick? Two things is not black or white exactly. And same for the other person, right? So not only do you have all the feelings that you're feeling, the other person is also feeling multiple things at the same time. I think I need to talk it out with someone rather than absorb what happened. Yes, I hear you. That just might not always work with the person that either you're arguing with or need to be vulnerable with, because you might need to process it first with a safe person so that you are taken care of, so that you don't abandon yourself first and go straight to the other person's needs. Okay? Because oftentimes what we do is we bypass our needs and go straight to the other person's needs, or we go straight to, I need them to just be okay because I feel like that's what's going to make me okay. But in reality, it's you not abandoning you that's going to make you okay. Sometimes it feels unproductive, like if I'm not doing something, I'm not doing anything. 100%. And this is why the pause, I was saying that your body is used to movement equals safety, and stillness can feel like vulnerability. Also, you may not be uncomfortable because it's wrong to be in that space, but you're not braced, like, there's nothing there. You're not bracing, you're not fighting, you're not doing anything in that pause space. And that is like, what the fuck do I do? Because most of us have never sat with what's going on here versus just here. Or why? But then I remind myself to find the gray. It's a fine line. And this is why I'm really passionate, Nick, about walking alongside people and having a safe person. Because oftentimes I don't believe that the person we're trying to repair with is the person that can be there for us and what we need and validate us. This is where it gets all complicated, right? So if we don't take care of what's happening for us and validate ourselves first, we are then putting that on the other person when we try to go repair or we try to take accountability. What happens is we end up putting our shit on them, and then it creates more disconnect, and we actually don't feel better. So if we have time and space and somebody to hold space for our feelings, like you said, talk it out before we go to that other person. And I just want to be clear that it is important and, in my opinion, essential to be able to get to a place where you can go to your partner or whoever you are having the issue with and talking about it. But we want to do that so fast. And if we look, has that really worked in the past? Because we have not been seen. We haven't honored ourselves. We haven't validated ourselves. And so when we're going to them, that's really subconsciously what we're asking from them. We're saying, we want to fix this because I need to be okay, and I need you to be okay so that I could be okay, instead of figuring out what is happening and sitting in the uncomfortable and working on that before we go to the other person so that we can hold space for them, because that is responsibility, is allowing space for them to feel. I remember that my counselor called it emotion stealing. When we don't allow space for somebody else to feel and we try to repair too fast, or we try to take responsibility of the whole situation and everybody's emotions, it's actually emotion stealing, because we're not allowing people to have space to feel. And we aren't doing that for ourselves either. Sometimes you have to sit while others are uncomfortable. Yes. And that was the most uncomfortable thing for me. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm not trying, if that makes sense. Right? Because what happened when you were a kid and you hit your friend? Right? Parents, teachers, go tell them you're sorry and then go play. Was there time for your feelings? Was there time to pause to talk about your feelings and the other person's feelings, or straight to repair? It all makes sense. It doesn't just come from nowhere. Me too, my friend. Hyper independence is very common in society. So is victim mindset. Yeah, because it's just two sides of the pendulum. Okay, so it's independent or codependent. Right? You hear that all the time, but do we hear about interdependence? Interdependence is the goal, where we can tap into both sides and have everything, like co-regulation. I try to be the person that holds space for others, but are you holding space for yourself? This is the thing. This is how you come back to you. Are we spending time on ourselves? Are we holding space for ourselves and offering space to feel what we're feeling? I wasn't told to say sorry that I can think of. Dad celebrated with me. And that's that other side of the pendulum, right? And so it would make sense if going to repair, maybe not be fast, like, or at all. Like, I don't need to repair that, right? So if you look back on those types of patterns and the way that we were raised, it would make sense how that shows up today. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, hey, good. I'm glad. That's good that you hold space for yourself. Killing it. And that's not easy. Does anybody have any more questions? There is still space for some women who would like a sacred middle seat. Right? Don't feel, just keep going. Susie Q, hello. There are seats available. You can, in my link tree, you click on that. We have like 3 minutes, and then we are going to hop over to the sacred middle. And we're going to keep talking about this in there. Next week, we are talking about, this is a perfect transition. I didn't actually plan that at all, but it worked out good. Is that next week we are talking about accountability versus responsibility. That's what we're talking about next week. Thank you. I appreciate you, Nick. Finding good examples of healthy interdependence and being an example isn't easy. You're right, because who the fuck does that? We don't know that. This is why we're here. We're creating that. We are creating the interdependence and being an example. That's us. We all are doing that now, and we're figuring it out, right? Because it's not something anybody was taught. Good night, Swanky. It was so nice to see you. Thanks for being here, lovely. It is Tara. Oh, thank you, Nick. I appreciate you. I can't wait to hear more about your acreage and all the things that you're doing. Susie, do you want me to send you the link on Facebook? You're like, who's that? Tara, the fire beneath the mask. Okay, I got you. All right, thank you guys. You're amazing. Thank you for being here. And remember, fuck perfect. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you. Shout out to Mom, for Rusty and Tara for modding. You guys are awesome and I appreciate you. Thank you.